All right, in today's video, we are going to be talking all about CMAs or comparative market analysis, when you're going to do them, why you're going to be doing them. I'm going to be answering some questions. How many houses do you find? The criteria for these houses, everything I'm going to try to cover in this video. I'm Frank Kritzman. I'm an agent up in Northwest Florida, and I'm with EXP now. I used to be at Keller Williams for a couple of years, but ditched the old brick and mortar, and now I'm in the future. I really like making videos and coaching and teaching, so here I am, doing my best to help you out so that you don't make the same mistakes I did. All right, let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about is what exactly is a CMA. We know the CMA is a comparative market analysis, but what exactly physically is it? So really there's kind of two different things that a CMA could be. The first one is actually, all of the properties done together in this big report, and you put it in a PDF file and you might email it to somebody. Now, I always say to never send somebody your numbers. So that type of CMA, like a big report with graphs and charts and all that, I almost never do that. When I'm talking about a CMA, I'm talking about getting some listings and bringing them to a listing appointment. So my CMA is for bringing to my listing appointment, and it is 2 actives, 2 pendings, and 2 solds. So a total of 6 properties. I bring them printed out physically. There's no charts, there's no graphs, there's no anything. I just actually print out the listing, 2 active, 2 pending, 2 sold, and I'll highlight the price and the dates and all that and the amount of days on market, and just kind of highlight all of the high points for all those listings. So that's exactly what a CMA is for me. It is literally 6 pieces of paper. Like I said before, I do not email this to anybody. I do not send anybody my numbers. Second question is, what is the point of the CMA? Why are we doing this CMA in the first place? The reason that we do a CMA is to help the client or help the seller come to a realistic price and decide what number they want to list their house for. I very, very rarely say, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I think we should list your house for X, or I think your house would sell for X. I almost never say that, and there's quite a few reasons for it. First one being I do not want to off-put them and say a number that they might not like. And the second being, I just want them to come to that conclusion on their own. I don't really want to just tell them the answer. I want to show them the way to get to the right answer. So what is it? What is the point of the CMA? The point of that CMA is to help the homeowner, help the seller come to a realistic number when it comes to selling their house, and really come with a pricing strategy. So you're showing them the data, and you're going to be able to say, based off of this data, if we price your home here, this is probably going to happen. If we price your home here, this is probably going to happen. So it's to set expectations and help them be in charge of the process. At the end of the day, we are advisors, we're professionals, we are here to help them get it done. We are supposed to do what they want. Next question is the when. When are we doing the CMA? Presenting the CMA is actually in step 5 of my 10-step listing presentation framework. So once you're at the listing presentation, you break out the numbers, and that's when you do that, is actually at the listing appointment. You want to make sure that you're really only going out on qualified listing appointments, and this is going to happen when somebody says, I'm thinking about selling my house. Do you have any idea what my house would sell for? You do not want to just spit out a number or just text them back a number or something like that. What you want to say is, that's a great question. To get you a really good answer, I just need to do a little bit of research. Are you free tomorrow so that we can run through the numbers and I can kind of give you a good idea? The whens of the CMA, this is going to be, you do this at the listing appointment. Like I said, you never want to do this over email. That is just one of my golden rules. I've lost a lot of listings that way. But there's kind of like 3 tiers or 3 levels as to when you would want to present the CMA or, do like a listing presentation. So the first one, the highest tier, if you can go for it, is the in-person meeting. This is the face-to-face appointment. The second tier, Zoom is huge now. So if you're not on Zoom, you need to figure it out. That is the weapon of 2023. Zoom, that's in your entrepreneur's toolkit, it has to be. So that second tier, that's over Zoom. And then the third tier, if you can't do any sort of Zoom or video call, then doing a phone consult, that can work too. I've done those. It happens. It's just fine. What you can do is, this would be the only time you send them over email. Like while you're on the phone in a phone listing appointment, say, hey, I'm sending you an email right now. Just go ahead and open it up and we can go through it together. That would be the only time that happens. Okay, so now we're going to break down the 3 different sections of that CMA, which I say different sections, but it's really just 6 pieces of paper. So 2 active, 2 pending, and 2 sold. Okay, so when you are searching for your comparable homes, you want to, there's a couple different layers of priority, right? So that first priority tier is going to be proximity close to the house, but you also have to think a little bit, because there could be like a really nice neighborhood and then right across the street is a completely different neighborhood. So proximity is very, very important, but you also have to look at the styles of the house and make sure the houses visually are very similar. Think about the neighborhood amenities, like maybe one neighborhood has a pool, one doesn't, one's gated, one's not. So you want to think about things like that. Next big layer of priority for the CMA is going to be the number of bedrooms. You really do not want to compare 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms, for example. You only want to be comparing 4 bedrooms to 4-bedroom homes, 3 bedrooms to 3 beds, stuff like that. Condos, this is especially important. You don't want to compare a 2-bedroom condo to a 3-bedroom condo. That extra bedroom is really going to give you a premium in the price. So just to the best extent, same number of bedrooms. Another thing to look for when you're searching for comparables is that you do not want to compare stories with different numbers of floors. So like you don't want to compare a 1-story home to a 2-story home. Those are not comparables. A 1-story home, at least here in Florida, I don't know about everywhere else, typically going to have a lot bigger footprint and the same amount of square footage from a 1 floor to a 2 floor. That 1 floor home is going to get a lot higher price because it's just going to be, more desirable, no stairs. That's why same floors is important. Those are really the big things. Obviously, if one house has a pool, that would drive the price up a lot on a particular comp. So that's something to think about. If you can, it would really be best to keep your radius within a mile or maybe even 2 miles. You want to keep that circle as tight as possible. Basically, you want to put in as much criteria as possible so that there's only 2 or 3 houses left to choose from, so that it's very easy to pick what you're going to use as a comp. When you're looking at sold comps, you really want to favor time. Time is going to be your biggest factor. How recently a home sold, that's really going to be your number 1 factor in deciding if a comp is going to be relevant or not. So I like to make sure that my sold comps are as new as possible. You're in the listing appointment, you have all your comps, you are laying out everything for the homeowner, and you're going through them. We're just going to kind of touch on how to handle each one of those sections. So first off, you're going to have your actives, right? So you're going to put the active comparable homes out in front of the homeowner, in front of the seller, and say, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what we have for active right now. These homes are going to be our competition, so we have to make sure when we go to put your house on the market, your house looks better than these homes. All we have to do is make it a little bit more appealing, whether it be the pictures or the price, but we just have to make your home be the obvious choice compared to these other homes. Your 2 actives, those are going to be your competition. Then you're going to move on to the pending listings. And the pending listings, these are going to kind of give you a litmus test on how hot the market is right now. The things you want to pay attention to on the pending listings is you want to say, all right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's this home that's similar to yours. They priced it at this price point and it sat on the market for 1 day before going under contract. So then you can say, you can get a pretty good idea of, all right, the market is pretty hot at this price point for this house. So we'll know within a few days if we've priced the home correctly or not. And then maybe the alternate of that would be there's one of your comps, one of your pendings has, maybe they sat on the market for 30 days. So then you could say, you look at this house and say, all right, this house was on the market for 30 days before getting an offer. We can see that the price was here. Maybe it was just a little bit overpriced. That's usually what the problem is. That's why the house hasn't sold yet. Or maybe it's an indicator of around 9 months or so ago, everything was sitting on the market for at least 30 days. So when you went into that listing appointment, you laid them out, say, look, it's totally average for your home to be sitting here at this price point and spending 20, 25 days on the market before getting an offer. So maybe you're just using that data to help reassure them so that later on down the road, if the house sits for a week, 2 weeks, they know that's just current market conditions. That's not necessarily something that you did, because they might be wanting to blame you for that. It happens, hopefully not, but yeah, it happens. So you're just going to be using those pending listings to help the homeowner understand the current market conditions. Those sold homes, that data is really just going to be, you're going to be showing that to them to let them know what's realistic, and let them know, hey, just so you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the appraiser is probably going to be looking at these houses when they go to appraise your home. So a lot of times that can help them put things in, like a little reality check, and just get them grounded on price. I do want to give you one little bonus tip when it comes to comp selection, and that is if you're going to a listing appointment and there's another home for sale on that same street, or maybe like right around the corner, even if it's active or under contract and it's not necessarily a comp, I strongly advise you bring it anyways, because there's a good chance at that listing appointment they're going to say, well, what about that house right around the corner that's for sale? And you definitely need to know about that house right around the corner. I promise you, or else you're just going to look like a goofball. Even if it's not in your CMA, what you want to do is just pull it out and say, yep, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, yeah, I got that house right here. It's actually not a comp for this reason. It has an extra bedroom, or it doesn't have the same bathroom as you, something like that. But you absolutely need to know and be prepared to show that data for other houses on the street so that you don't look like a dummy. Then after you go through the CMA with the homeowner, you are going to go to step 6 on my 10-step listing presentation framework, and that is going to be setting the price. And it's not necessarily something that you are going to do as the agent. That is something you're just going to help the homeowners do. You're going to say something like this: after looking at all the data, what do you think your home would sell for? Or what do you think we should start listing your home for? Or you could say something like, after looking at all this data, are you comfortable with your house sitting on the market for a little while, or would you rather it just go under contract very quickly? You want to say something like that and just help guide the conversation and help them decide where they want to list the house. When you're having that conversation, it's also always a very, very good idea to set an expectation later on down the road. Say something like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, in the event that we just miss the price and we don't get any activity, no showings, no offers, and the house sits for a couple weeks, are you open to lowering the price just to get your house sold? That is the correct way to handle that conversation. You definitely don't ever say something like, oh, yep, I know that your house will sell at that price point, guaranteed. Because if it doesn't, then you just look like a dummy. Or if you say something like that, like, I know it'll sell for this price, and then later on it doesn't, they're going to be looking at you like, why are you not a professional? And then they may ask you to like drop your commission or something, because they have to drop their price and you made that verbal guarantee. So you want to put it all in their hands. You want to guide them to the price, and then let them know that we might have to drop the price later on to get the house sold. All right, and that's pretty much how to do CMA. If you have any questions about the CMA, put them down in the comments below. Have a great day.